Hello everyone, and welcome to Retro Brick Reviews, where today we will be taking a look at the LEGO Juniors Cars 3, set number 10745, Florida 500 Final Race. This set comes with 266 pieces, 5 buildable Cars vehicle figures, and it retails for around $50 in the United States and released in August of 2017. And without any more further ado, let's just get right into the set. So here we have the first of our 5 vehicles, this of course being Lightning McQueen. But not just any Lightning McQueen, this is the fabulous Lightning McQueen, as he appeared in the final scene of Cars 3. And if you're wondering why he's here in this set when in this scene in the movie this design was not present, it's because, of course, this set had to be based off of concept art before the movie was entirely finished, and in earlier drafts, McQueen was going to show up to the Florida 500 sporting this new paint job. So that explains that. And concept art is also likely the reason why this figure is slightly inaccurate. He should have the yellow Rusty's logo on his hood like McQueen did in the first Cars movie, but he doesn't. But that's really just a minor nitpick, as I think this guy looks pretty striking. I really like the light blue coloring, even if it does definitely detract somewhat from the Lightning McQueen appearance. It looks pretty cool. Starting off at the front, you have some metallic prints used for his headlights and the 4 bolts, as well as a nice winning smile and a nice cocky design for the eyes. Up top, you have the 451s in the Hudson Hornet font, as well as Lightning McQueen written up top in some nice curvy font. On the side, you have Fabulous Lightning McQueen, as well as his exhausts, and I really like this 2x4 print, and it is reversed and mirrored, rather, on the other side. And then you just have the unprinted dark blue spoiler, and the whole thing is on a standard blue chassis, which is fine. Looks a bit awkward from the back with the 2 blues sort of clashing. I wish that he'd been on a dark blue chassis, but I mean, I guess this is better than having him be on red. So, yeah. Overall, the fabulous Lightning McQueen is nothing phenomenal or anything, but he's pretty good. He's not my favorite Lightning McQueen of the Cars 3 line. That actually goes to the one in the $10 set, but this guy's still pretty good. He gets a pass for me. The next vehicle here, in my opinion, is a bit more than pretty good. She's pretty great. This is Cruz Ramirez, again appearing in her design from the final scene of the movie, which was originally going to appear before the final scene of the movie. And unlike Lightning, who, if LEGO wanted to be accurate, they would have just put in the exact same design as the $10 set, this figure being here means that Cruz does miss out on getting her design from the race in the movie, which is a bit disappointing, but this, I think, is more interesting than that, so I don't really mind. Starting off on the front, we have the one thing that annoys me about this Cruz, her face. You see, unlike Lightning, who throughout all his variants throughout this movie got a different smile and a different eye design in each, Cruz gets the same exact design for the face. Well, the eyes remain the same throughout all 3 sets, even though with this set they had to make a new print for the piece to go with the Dynaco design. They still use the same eye print, and the mouth, which was changed for the $30 set from the $10 set, here is just the same one from the $10 set again, which is just kind of lazy in my opinion. And again, they had to change the print to get Dynaco on the front. I mean, again, not too bad, just a nitpick where if you have the other Cruzes, they start to look a bit similar and bland, but it's alright. Up here you have a 51. If you're wondering why both McQueen and Cruz are racing under number 51, not entirely sure I would have played out in the versions of the movie where this actually occurred earlier during the race scene, although I imagine it probably would have played out relatively similarly to the finale. Although here, Cruz is just number 51, and McQueen, I guess, is just doing it for show purposes since he's not currently in a racing season. Now that I think about it, I'm not sure if in the movie the 51s are accurate. Maybe in the final version it is 95s on top. I don't know. And it doesn't really bother me since I don't really know, so I'm not going to look into it because, I mean, hey, it's fine. On the side, we have some nice 2x4 prints with Dynaco 51 as well as the Dynaco Dinosaur. Again, mirrored on the other side. Here we have Dynaco printed on the spoiler, and I really love how the print doesn't cut off at all between the sort of the ledge where you have the two angle, where you have the two parts of the angle meeting. That probably could have cut off, and it wouldn't have been too bad, but LEGO kept the printing going through, which looks very nice. At the side, Cruz has this wheel mold, which, as far as I know, was introduced newly for this set, and you get 4 for Cruz here and 4 later on. These 4 just being in a plain dark bluish gray, which looks fine. And then at the back, you have these 2 printed 1x4 curved pieces, which look very good. I'm a big fan of where they put the cutoff for the Dynaco logo between the 2 pieces. It ends up looking like there's not really a cutoff at all, because you have the, obviously, the cutoff is right above the nameplate, so it looks like the logo could actually just have a little split there. And then at the bottom, you also have a little bit of sort of undercarriage design, which is alright, but it is a bit awkward how that's then immediately stopped in its tracks by the orange chassis, which is a good color. Again, I feel they should have gone with yellow, especially since they're unlike McQueen, where the blue chassis was used for one of the characters in the $30 set. There is no orange character in Cars 3, so this is a bit awkward, but it works. Cruz is not perfect, but she's still better than McQueen. I'd say that this Cruz is one of the best builds for a vehicle of the LEGO Cars 3 lineup. Yeah, she's pretty good. And I forgot to mention that her windshield, which held piece is actually different from McQueen's. Hers is just a stud shorter, as you can see. So yeah, so that is Cruz Ramirez. So now let's move on to the third and final racer in this set before we move on to the other 2 vehicles. So here we have rookie champion and 2-dimensional villain Jackson Storm, who is exclusive to this set. That's right, this $50 set is the only way to get the main antagonist of Cars 3. I'm sure that's great for all the parents who had to buy this for their kids for Christmas. Their kids just want all the LEGO Cars 3 characters, and they have to get every set since every set comes with exclusive characters. Thanks, LEGO. But I mean, I guess that's just good business. Anyway, Jackson Storm here is probably the most interesting vehicle of the set, because while McQueen and Cruz were basically just recolors of their standard designs, just with some also changed up printing, this is the only LEGO interpretation of Jackson Storm outside of, well, the Duplo version. And before we begin, because I have a lot of good stuff to say, but I do have to get one complaint off my chest. It's too light of a color. He should not be dark bluish gray. He should not look gray. Honestly, they should have done gunmetal and black, but I get that LEGO doesn't want to make a ton of parts new in gunmetal, and if they couldn't have done that, they should have just forgotten the color difference and just made him stark black, because the gray is just so way too light. But enough about that, this guy is great other than that. So to start with, you have a different hood piece, which isn't too common, and I don't know entirely where it originated from, although it's probably from one of the Tiny Turbos LEGO Racers sets from back around 2009. You can see that the headlight print does actually get cut off a bit, but I don't really mind. The mouth has a nice smug grin, and I like the Igniter text written there. You can also see the 1x2 tile jutting up a bit here. It's not flush with the piece, which sort of looks like there's a bit of an open grill, which is nice. Grill isn't the right word. Hood scoop. Don't know why I thought grill, but yeah, it sort of makes it look like he has a bit of a hood scoop. Which isn't accurate, really, but I think it looks cool. The eyes are also printed to look very smug like the mouth, and hey, wait a sec, that's a new mold. That's right, his windshield is a new and exclusive mold that, to this point in time, only appears in this one Cars 3 set. That's pretty nice. As you can see, it's much flatter and sleeker compared to McQueen's. And yeah, you have a lot of good printing around for the windows, 2.0. On the sides, you have 2.0 as well as the gradient design. And while, again, it is way too light for the gray, I feel so the black part looks very good. And I also absolutely adore the pattern they used for the transition, where it's like metallic blue with like little black pluses, I think. I mean, I can't like, the pattern is a bit complex, but it looks very good. It looks like a great gradient, and I just love the look of the metallic blue. I also love the printed wheels, which are the same molds we saw on Cruz, but now with light blue printed around the edges, as well as yellow screws, which just looks really great. Other side just has the same printing, but reversed. And on the back, we have this nice printed sort of 2x4 sloped piece, which does have a gradient to it, but there's nothing they could have done about that, so that's fine. And yeah, you have some nice grille detailing at the bottom, or well, again, just the undercarriage, which for once isn't marred by the underside, because the underside is light gray, a color that works well for him and for a car's undercarriage, and you can't see it because this piece goes nearly to the ground. So that's nice, and his spoiler is just a 1x4 tile. So yeah, that's Jackson Storm, definitely the most unique and exclusive racer to this set, although it's debatable if he's the best. My personal favorite of the 3 cars from this set is still Cruz, but he's pretty good. But enough with cars, let's move on to our 4th character, being, of course, Guido, aka the only character from the LEGO Cars 3 line to appear in multiple sets, as this exact same figure of Guido also appeared in the $10 Luigi and Guido set that came with that atrocious Luigi. Guido here fares better than he, but Guido is still pretty bad. We'll start with the positive, which is the face print. Face looks pretty good. I like the eyes and the mouth. I prefer this design over the Cars 2 design for the face. Also prefer the piece for the hat. This looks better. I mean, neither are really accurate, but I prefer this just wedged, not wedged, but the, I don't know what you call this piece, the slide 1x2. I prefer that as opposed to just a centered 2x2. This looks more like a cap, I feel, which works. What's bad about this guy is, see these two parts sticking off to the sides? Yeah, that's it. I think the idea here is that he can hold tools. So, for example, you could stick a wrench in here, and that wasn't the intention, but that's just what I thought of. I just had a wrench and I grabbed it. It's more so that he can hold stuff like, say, a little fuel refiller or something. I don't know what you'd call that. Nozzle. There we go. But the problem is that it doesn't look good, and it also looks bad. So yeah, that's it. And also, he's completely missing the sea green color that should be going around his wheels. And there's just this random 1x2 gray plate, which just looks awful. And like, yeah, and also, his tines are pretty far apart and don't look good, and there's no articulation there. Like, the original were only one stud apart, which was better, plus you could hold a wheel between them, which was better, and they were articulated. This has none of that. And then on the bottom, you just have 2 wheels and a little slide shoe piece, so we can slide and wheel around. So yeah, that's Guido. Kinda like, again, the prints are an improvement, but the build is kind of a disappointment. Yeah, but now let's move on to my favorite thing in this entire set, and probably my favorite thing in the whole LEGO Cars 3 line, who also just so happens to be the 5th and final character we get in this set, which, of course, is none other than Mack the Truck. Yeah, that's right. This is only the 2nd LEGO version that's ever been put into production of Mack. The first one being a 2011 set based off of the first Cars movie that was actually the only LEGO set to ever include the main Cars 1 Rusty's design of McQueen. And yeah, I'd say that version probably looks a bit better from some parts, but this version also definitely has some upgrades. I'll remove the trailer for a second, we'll get back to that in a minute. Let's just start with the main, like, the actual character of Mack, the truck part. So first off, A lot of this is just a single, you just have a couple of very large pieces that make up a huge majority of this build. Like, let me just show you, everything you see here that's red, not including these pieces, but I'm too lazy to remove them, this is all one piece, and then this whole black chassis, that's just one piece. So yeah, and then like, everything above this, though, is brick built, but it is a bit lame just how much of this guy is just prefab. And, like, I kind of get it. Like, again, this is a junior set, so it's supposed to be easy for kids to build. But on the same token, it's also a Lego set, so there should be some assembly required. Yeah, he has 6 wheels. Can't really wheel around well, but he doesn't really have to, so that's fine. He has a couple little exhaust parts on the back, and these little exhausts on the sides. The wheel fenders are molded well, because they're molded specifically for him. On the front, he has some nice prints for the grill, the headlights, and the mouth. And, like, for example, even if they wanted to have this all prefab, I think it would have really helped the look if, say, for example, the grill was just made out of Lego grill plates instead of being printed. Just studs on the side. That would have been a nice touch. I don't know. But anyway, you get a couple of 2x2x2 sloped pieces for the eyes, and I believe those are new prints. Those could be the same ones that we got back in 2011, but I think that they're new prints. And also, if you, just a little tip, if you want to have a bit of fun, you want to enjoy yourself with this set, switch the eyes around. There you go, I'm keeping them like this for the rest of the review. You can't stop me. On the side, we have a couple of 2x3 tiles with the 95 printed on, which I believe are new. One on each side. And then up top, you have the new Cars 3, 2x4 windshield piece that's used on characters like Sheriff and Smokey, and also the pickup truck from the Derby set. Anyway, you have it printed here in red with the Rust-eze logo printed on it, with this piece coming off to sort of, form his cap, which is pretty nice. Zooming back out, we'll bring in Mack's trailer now, which just attaches with a ball joint. And again, everything, like all of this, is just a single piece with a bunch of panel pieces put on top. But it's alright, in my opinion. This is less annoying to me than this, because at least, because, again, like, the majority of this, like, yeah, the chassis is a single piece, but then everything else is brick-built. Here, just the eyes and the back of the head are brick-built, which is a bit lame. Anyway, just looking at this trailer from the side, you have 5 printed panel pieces. You have this one that is Lightning McQueen Piston Cup, and you get 2 of those in the set, which are 2 of that exclusive panel. You also get this one at the back, which is medicated Rust-eze Bumper Oil, which is not exclusive. You also get that in the $10 Luigi and Guido set, but it is nice to get 2 of those. But then on each side, you have 3 other panel pieces, forming up the lightning bolt design with McQueen at the back, with the lightning bolt fading to fire as it has ever since Cars 2. And yeah, pretty cool. And these 3 panels are actually mirrored on the other side, so you get 7 exclusively printed panels just for this trailer, which is pretty great. And yeah, just turning this around to the other side, you can see that, yeah, you just have these 2 panels are the same, but these 3 are mirrored, as I said. At the back, you have these black slopes, which aren't accurate, but that's just so that the ramp doesn't stick up super far past the rest of the build. And, yeah, if I'm allowed to have a complaint, I do feel as though definitely the ramp sticks up too far. They should have lowered it down some. I don't know, because if they lowered it down some, they would have had to change the whole chassis piece, but I don't know, I just think it sticks up too far. Oh, and here you have another exclusive print, which is cool. And if you fold this down, inside you have absolutely no interior, which you could say is a downgrade from the 2011 version, because the 2011 version had quite a lot of nice interior detail, but this one's also better because that version could only fit a single Lightning McQueen, because there was so much space dedicated to details and also storing like traffic cones and stuff you don't care about. This version, since it's completely hollow, can store 2 racers. You can also see that on top, it's also just open, so if you're a kid, like say you get these guys in, Cruz going, it can be a bit finicky sometimes because they can get stuck, but so you get these guys, pick them up, cart them around to like your living room or wherever, and where you want to race them around, pull the ramp down, and then instead of having to pull them out, just shove your hand in there and just pull them out by your finger, you can just go on the top and push them out. Push them out, and McQueen got stuck on the ramp because it's really steep. But yeah, pretty cool stuff. I really like how they did Mack here. I mean, again, maybe a bit too much of him is prefab, but I really like what they did overall. Good design for Mack, and he is the last vehicle we get in the set. So now let's move on to... Well, I mean, the set also comes with some builds for the racetrack itself, although they're definitely not the focus here, but let's get to them nonetheless. So here we have the finish line for the Florida 500 Piston Cup race, which has an interesting color scheme, using a lot of light blue and also trans blue up at the top, which isn't really accurate to the movie, but this is the same color scheme like used in the Junior set. Well, this is the Junior set in the Duplo set, so I don't know who came up with that, but it has an interesting look to it, which I guess was probably the goal. You have these 2 large support scaffolding pieces here in light bluish gray. Then you just have a couple lights, 3 red lights and a green light for go. And up here you have a printed 1x4 tile showing, I guess, the lap number and time, perhaps? I don't know. Maybe showing the number of a vehicle and the time. Not entirely sure what that represents. Yeah, like, you don't really have anything special around the back. Pretty simple design, but it's alright. You can easily fit 2 vehicles through. You can't fit a third, but yeah, there's 10 studs in here, so you could comfortably have 2 vehicles racing through for a photo finish. Actually, I'll put Storm a bit further back because he's the villain, but actually I'll put Storm a bit further ahead again for accuracy. So yeah, that's the finish line. So now let's move on to the next build of the set. Okay, so here we have the little Piston Cup, I guess. This is a combination of, like, the flag stand, like, for the green and red flags for when a lap is completed and a race is won, as well as sort of a little mechanic section. And also here, you can see we have a bunch of these little race line builds I've just spaced about, and these are just 1x8 plates with some tiles on top, and these are just supposed to represent, like, the barriers around the sides of a track. And you get 6 of these pieces in the set, and you can just organize them however you feel to create the illusion of there being a racetrack, which is nice. For this stand itself, at the front you have a nice 2x4 tile printed with the Florida 500, as well as just some race lines down at the bottom, so you could connect this up to the track next to the finish line. You have the green and red flags, of course, which can move up and down. And you have ample space up here to put a pity who could be manning the stand. Or, heck, you could even fit in a full car, why not? On this side, you have a little fire extinguisher, what I would guess is a little air hose, maybe. And then also you have a little display screen showing the statistics of Lightning McQueen, his vitals and stuff, which I guess is a good idea considering what happened at the beginning of the movie. Inside, it is hollow, and I thought this would be a good space to store your pity when you're not using him, and it is, but he's basically as tall as it is, so it can be a bit difficult to get him in there. So I would prefer just leaving this empty, or maybe using it as a storage space for a side build I'm going to be bringing out right about now, and you can also shove a car in there, but you could also store this build in there, minus the air hose, which you'd have to flatten out. And this is just a little tool stand. You have a little barrel, you have a hose. Well, I guess this would be probably more a gas canister, an air canister. You have a little hose with an outlet. Here you have a wrench. Yeah, like you could just store this little build in here. You could store it on its side if you don't want to disassemble it. Or if you don't mind taking off the hose, which I don't because the hose is a hassle, you could just stick this whole thing in here. Another thing you could stick in here with a bit of finagling is this piston cup stand, except just kidding, you can't because it's too tall. I lied to you. How do you feel about that? We'll take a look at that piston cup in a second as soon as I reassemble this. There you go. Okay, then we have the piston cup stand. The piston cup is just a golden trophy, which is alright. No printing, which is lame, but I mean, I get why they didn't. This, like, you know it's the piston cup. You have this white and black check design for the stand, as well as these two printed flags, which are printed on both sides, which is nice. And they can wave. And yeah, and that is the very last build of this Cars 3 set. But before I go to the final verdict, first, let's take a look at the box and also the instruction manuals, because there is something interesting in the instruction manuals of junior sets. So yeah, let's take a look at that box, shall we? This set uses the average $50 box size, and it has the LEGO Juniors logo at the top left and the Cars 3 logo at the top right. On the left side, you have the recommended age range, set number, name, and piece count. And then the rest of the box does a pretty good job at selling the, just what you get here. It shows all 5 characters in prominence. It shows the piston cup. You see the race lines. You see the toolkit. You see the stand and nothing here is really hidden. It shows you everything you get, which is nice. It almost looks like this little just 2x6 piece isn't composited in very well. Like, it doesn't look like it's in the same shot as Mack, if that makes any sense. I don't know. Even though it casts a shadow on him, it just doesn't look right. Maybe it's the way it was put on the ground. I don't know. Anyway, on the side you just have the 3 race cars chasing after Guido, who has stolen the piston cup. Sneaky little devil. On the back, you can see everything you get up on top. You get sort of a thing showing how you can store McQueen and Cruz and Mack and then take them out. And then this just shows that the set is easy to build. Bottom just has legal stuff. Top has the Juniors logo, easy to build in other languages, and a tire at actual size. So yeah, that's the box of this set. Nothing too special. It's not like the Yellow Submarine. This isn't an ideas set, so LEGO didn't really have to put any effort into the box. But it's good. A lot of LEGO sets have mediocre, even bad boxes. This is a good box. Job well done. This set has 2 manuals. The first manual is just for Bag 1. And if we open it up, inside, we have this little comic showing McQueen and Storm, with Storm shoving McQueen up against the wall, which, again, not entirely sure how that would have played out in the original cut of the movie this set seems to be based on, but if you've seen the movie, you know that this happens a bit differently, but interesting. And then here you have just the piston cup off to the side, and then just flipping to the end of the manual. At the end, you just have a couple ads for LEGO Juniors. The second manual walks you through bags 2 through 5 and is therefore much thicker than the first. Here at the beginning of bag 2, you see this comic showing off Guido taking off one of Mack's tires. If we flip through, there will be more comics incoming. Here we can see McQueen coming out of Mack's trailer to face Storm. Here we can see Cruz bolting onto the tracks past the flag stand. Sorry about that, folks. Been feeling a bit under the weather recently. But I didn't want to deprive you guys of content, so here we are. And then the comic for Bag 5 just shows the finish line and the flag stand with, well, I guess the actual flag stand. Not what I've been calling the flag stand, but the actual stand with a couple of flags. Anyway, with just all 3 trying to squeeze through the finish line at the same time, which is pretty cute. And then, at the back, you just have an advertisement for all of the other Cars 3 sets besides this one, because this one was released later into the line. So yeah, that is basically everything I have to talk about with this set, so now let's get on to the final verdict. So overall, would I recommend the LEGO Juniors Cars 3 Florida 500 final race? Well, I mean, that depends on a couple of factors. First off, what were your thoughts about the Cars 3 movie and the series as a whole? For me personally, I'm not a huge fan of the series, but I was absolutely in love with it when I was younger, so I have a lot of nostalgia, which is the main reason why I picked up several sets from this lineup. And it did also help me to enjoy the third movie, even if it wasn't Pixar's best work, and it was probably the best of the trilogy, to be fair. And if you're a Cars fan, then this set is great. You get 4 exclusive characters, you get 3 exclusive cars, one of whom is the main antagonist who only comes in this set. And you also get Mack, who's just really great. I mean, look at him, he's fantastic. And then Guido's fine too, I guess. But yeah, you get 4 great vehicles, you get some great builds, an insane amount of great printed parts. Like, I didn't really count them, but, like, think about it. You get 4 exclusive prints for McQueen, you get 7 exclusive prints for Cruz, that's 11. You get 5 exclusive prints for Storm, so 12. For Mack, just on the face, you get 5 prints, that's 17. Plus 8 new prints on the trailer, so that's 25. The print on the flat, the print on the goalpost, the finish line is 26. And then you also get 2 more on the stand here, so you get 28 exclusive printed pieces to this set, as well as about 4 new molds, I think. Like, Storm's windshield is a new mold, and Mack's front is a new mold. Not sure about the trailer parts for Mack, or the chassis, but, yeah. Cool stuff. So, yeah, this is a good set. I would recommend it if you're a Cars fan. However, I think the question here is less, is this recommended? Because, I mean, if you're watching the video, then you're probably, or at least moderately interested in the franchise. However, the big question is this set worth $50? Because for a set that's barely above 250 pieces, that puts this set at a nearly 20 cent per piece ratio, which is really bad. But honestly, I think that it's fine, because how I judge LEGO Junior sets in terms of value is, obviously they're made with less pieces. So, if this were made using only normal LEGO system pieces, how much would it cost? That's kind of how I judge these. And with this set, okay, so each car here is like 20 parts. In the original Cars 2 sets, a car was more like 50 parts apiece. So that turns 60 pieces into 150 pieces. Guido is like 30 pieces, so 180. 350 pieces, taking out McQueen and simplifying the trailer a bit. We'll say 250 pieces, so that'll bring our total to 430 parts, plus these builds, which honestly aren't too juniorized, so, like, we'll go with around 500 parts. You know what's a good price to part ratio for a for 500 parts? $50. Another way to look at it is that the old Mack set was $40 for just Mack and McQueen, so this is $40, and then everything else might as well be $10. That's just another way to look at this. This is a good deal, and I don't like to look at it as much as the first few, because again, Mack is much simpler than the old one, much less stuff to do with him. You can basically only put cars in him, while the old one had opening panels and a nice interior. But still, I'd say that this set is worth $50. This is a good set. Don't really have much else to say, so I won't. Good set. I mean, I'd give it like, if I had to give it a rating, I'd give it like a B+. So thank you all so much for watching this very long review of a set that doesn't really require one. But anyway, so yeah, so that's that. See you all in the next one. See you in another life, laddos. Bye.